Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Hello, good morning, everybody. Another week, another webinar. Yeah, let me first, before beginning, prepare this. I'm going to share my screen now. And as well, I'm going to share you a PowerPoint, right? Give me 1 second. Let me swap this part. All right. Hey, okay. First of all, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Hey, also in Facebook, greetings from Mexico. Okay, we are checking today the bank reconciliation, bank processes, cash management, all these ideas, right? The purpose is for to learn the capabilities. So if you are a newbie, that's super good. You're gonna learn in a nutshell everything that you need to know about the banking processes. But as well, I'm going to show other advanced functionality why not to import or connect to your bank. Okay, but let's see. We have a good topic requested by one of our. It's not today. Okay, so we're gonna check. Sorry, the agenda. Okay, we're gonna check the bank reconciliation. I can import bank statements, match reconciliation. So I'm adding a little bit more to the agenda than only generate the bank and then input transactions. So you can see that the idea. Otherwise, as well, you can check then later. We can share the video so you can then compare. Oh, but I received more information. So that's good. You can then anyway check it later. And okay, reconciliation. First of all, we need to create a bank. In the bank is where we reconcile all the transactions that we do in our real banks, basically. So if we match and everything according to what we did in the real bank, we do it in the system, that's basically the reconciliation. All of you who are accountants, you already understand this part, right? But I need to sometimes explain this. We have people that are interested in basically learning as well. Business Central, thank you as well for coming. Okay, the idea in Business Central is that it gives us the different tools, okay? Typical business cash management situations. Your bank always processes fees, interests, annual fees for your bank accounts. Okay, we are going to learn how to process that. Transactions entered in the bank account are not on the bank statement. Sometimes it could happen, and we're going to check how do we do it. Transactions on bank statement that are not in Business Central. Transactions in the bank account and on the bank statement correspond to one another, but are recorded differently. What happened when we work with banking? We're going to do now the electronic side of how to operate with our bank in Business Central. That's what I'm talking about the electronic. But well, what I'm trying to say is banking in Business Central. Then we have our bank operations. If you have stores, maybe you, as an idea, right? You get the money from the cashiers, and at some point, maybe not even today, but maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, you take the money to the bank, right? So that's something that we would do normally. How do we reconcile? Because they are not exactly like you post in Business Central, right? Or a general journal or a payment that you do first in Business Central, later you do maybe even after a few days or a week, then the same operation in your bank. Things like that, okay? Think about it. So in order to understand this bank or cash management process, this is not cash flow, even though the word is similar, it's completely different. Cash is related to your liquidity, liquid assets, most of all, related to your cash management, and banking operation. Okay, that's why I'm mentioning this. Now we're gonna create today a bank account to see what is the entity. How do we then need to understand this bank account entity? And then how do we operate with it? So we're going to post some transactions. And then we're going to start reconciling and do some exercises by removing some transactions that are not okay. Some of we need to make some adjustments, so you can take the idea and we are going to post it, right, in order to generate our first statement for the month according to what the bank is delivering, right? And then, well, we're just gonna I'm going to show you what will be the importing process. Sometimes your banks give you this information in an Excel or CVS format, which is really cool. So I'm presenting you, first of all, the bank reconciliation account. We are going to see one screen in the right side, this one, bank account ledger entries. This is what we have in the system, so to speak. Like in a physical count, we know what the system has counted, okay, with our purchase and sales, in this case, invoices and payments, or receipts from customers and payment to vendors, or for general expenses. On all these operations, income and outcome will be in the right side. And we are going to see then a bank statement lines, which is in the left side. Remember the name, bank statement lines, regarding the information that your bank delivers, okay, the bank statement. And the idea is that we are going to compare both of them in order to get the same balances, so to speak, okay, so to speak, remember. Then in the top, we're going to see some actions that I'm going to show you when we open the window, but I want you just to give you the first idea. We are going to compare now two windows, what was calculated and what should come from the real bank, in order to see that everything matches properly for a specific date, specific month. And then I'm going to show you then the actions that we see in the top of this menu or toolbar, with different tools that we are going to use to reconcile. Simple as. The most important for now, we are going to begin with the suggest line function, which is going to copy the information that we have currently in Business Central to pre-populate the actual statement. Okay, so it helps you. Basically, you might have some lines that were correctly inputted in your bank and in Business Central. So let's begin with that, right? Then we're going to start reconciling. When we have the two windows correct with the same date or transactions, let's say that we generate a payment. Today, we pay to a vendor with a check, okay, which is coming from the transaction bank operation, right? And then that should be then cash in your by your vendor, sorry, in your bank. Then you are going to see these two transactions in Business Central and in the statement in your real bank. When that happens, when the description is the same, the amount is the same, and the description as well is more or less the same date, right? Remember, this could be different. You're going to see the lines that will be in green. This is automatically done by Business Central. Business Central helps you to actually find this type of transactions when they have the same description, the same amount, and similar date. They reconcile it for you, and it marks the lines in green. It's meaning that it has found the lines for you. So it's automation. It helps us a lot. We're going to see how it actually works. And then we can make adjustments. Things that are coming from your bank that we just cannot calculate in Business Central. Once again, like fees. If you are investing, then you might have some interest from your bank, even though it's not the most profitable type of investment, but that's it. That's it. And as well, we need to calculate what else. Sometimes you might be doing some additional products. You purchase new accounts, new electronic services, and they charge. Things like that. Things that we do not do in Business Central, we need them to do it. Okay. And then match automatically is the function that helps us to reconcile automatically. So remember these basic ideas. And then Business Central help us, right, to give us our report that we are going to learn and analyze today, that is going to then help us to see what is reconciled, what is not reconciled, what is the actual balance that you must have in your bank, what is the actual balance that you have in your statement, so you can more or less see the total amounts and try to get into the actual reconciliation process. And I'm going to show you now a flavor then how then we work in USA and how we work in Europe. We most of the time do it differently. Okay, let's go and jump into Business Central. So this is just the fundamentals, or the, so to speak, the vocabulary and the functions, so we don't get caught into what is this, what is that, right? Okay, so I'm going to now, I have my Business Central window open, and then I'm going to open the bank account. Very good. First of all, I have two bank accounts. Okay, now I'm in Business Central. By the way, sorry to let me just give you I see some people that is accessing for the first time. In Business Central, when I access, you're going to then use Business Central in the cloud flavor. This is really cool. This tool actually is now open in a browser. This is not installed in your computer, so you can open from any device. Good. Now, this is as well in the cloud flavor, connects to a lot of different tools like my Office. Check all these Office programs. Well, not, they are not programs anymore. They are just tools or apps, right? The way we call them. And then as well, for instance, Power BI. If you don't know, it's a really cool tool to actually perform or do reports. Okay, so how am I connected? How am I interconnected, right? Then with the cloud, the idea is that I won't necessarily have to integrate softwares anymore. They are pre-assembled or pre-designed to be assembled, right? That's the idea why this is the idea of the cloud. So we are interconnected and we can open just by using having internet from any device, now Business Central. Okay, that's more or less the idea of what the cloud is. And remember, we are then gonna be able to open my screen from any browser, Edge, Chrome, however, your preference. And here in my first window, since I'm going to be able, so to speak, to change the design of the screen, because I have different designs for different people in your company. So I will be, let's say, why not the accountant? Very good. Sorry for the noise. And then let me just change this. Very good. Just close this because of the noise. Okay, and here is the screen for the accountant. Very good. Yeah, no, just a question. Now you can see now I have information, cash management. Okay, this is what the accountant reviews, right, in their own screens, information related to finance and all the modules here. You can see all these different functions or menus. And what well, let's see my cash account balance. This is good. I always see it as an accountant. I always see my KPIs. This is already integrated, so I could immediately start to work on a daily basis. So in this style, I have that in my checking account. I have some money, saving accounts, and petty cash. Okay, this is good. So I could just immediately begin my work. The bank account then helps me then to actually is a subledger of the chart of accounts that help me just to control which operations I have done with a bank. Which bank? Well, we generated for you, or you can actually, with this webinar, going to learn how to create it. I have the worldwide wide bank with some branch, the branch and bank account. This is just general information for us to learn. And we are going to see just general information about the address and our contact person. Then we're gonna get the balance, okay? The balance is what the balance of what we have just received and what we have paid, okay, immediately. Let me just give you an example. What is this? I see that there are some purchases, by the way, some fixed assets that I see here. Yeah, even a car. Okay, that's good. This was for some fixed assets. And then the payments. Okay, so the idea is that at invoices, because in the end as well, I was selling, but I told to my customer my bank account. Okay, and then I was receiving money through this specific entity. So from here, we generate income and outcomes transactions of money that you actually, similarly to what you do in your bank, is that's the idea. And we generate a relationship, very important, with your chart of accounts. That's why I'm saying that this is a subledger of an original GL account, okay? Because we're gonna check that through the bank account posting groups. Remember, bank account posting groups, what we call a posting group is basically the idea of connecting an entity, in this case, my bank, to a GL account that you can just select here. I have created a GL account for my chart of accounts, 10-100 checking account. Then where I have connected my actual bank, and just with this setup, then you are going to have, remember, this is even a certification question. there's always, when I generate a new bank, a relationship with one as one-to-one with one single GL account. Take that idea, this general information before we create our first bank. This is the brand with just general information. Let me just show you what other information you might use. SEPA, credit transfer messages, debit messages, creditor numbers, bank name, bank clearing standard. Well, not all of these functions we are about to learn today because they are as well related to connections with other functions in the web or with web services to your banks, but at least the basics, okay? Which is just what I have inputted here, right? So now that you get this basic idea, what else I have here? That will be basic. Okay, good. And transfers, let me see. Well, this might be as well a part of it. Okay, postings. When we generate checks, I'm going to request you. In every bank, you can generate a check, a checkbook to provide checks, okay? So see that checkbook and see the number of your check, the last number of you have printed or signed and give them to your vendor, and give me here the last check used, okay? The number of the last check used. Then the last statement number is inputted by Business Central. Here we have created 24 statements, something that we're about to do today. Okay, and the bank account posting group is where we select which GL account we are going to connect. Okay, because in the end, whatever we do here will be go and travel the information to one specific GL account. And the bank statement import format, if you want to use it, ask to your bank. I'm going to show it to you today. It's going to help you remember this field. Bank statement import format is just going to help you to import information. Okay, okay, so I'm just going to create a new bank. In order to do so, we're just going to click on new. And for my Kronos company, which is in the USA, well, I'm going to then input an American bank as an example, American Express, something like that, okay? Currently, I'm going to then as well create well, general information, for instance, our contact code. Today, Mr. Noe Wellman, that is the cash, is the treasury manager, will be working with this account because he reconciles, he operates, he makes the payments and so forth. This is the person that helps us generate reports. Okay, so I'm just going to input general information. All right, there's nothing complex with this. Just take the information from your bank. Oh, sorry. As well, I forgot the bank account number. Very important for the statement when you print it, and the branch, just in case that you manage in different branches, these different accounts. Okay, that's it. And then the balance will be just to begin 0. That's good. Okay. Now, there are other type of fields that I could use. For instance, the check date format, bank clearing code, bank clearing standard. For now, I'm not going to show you the other fields that helps me to interconnect the bank to other web services, which is quite technical, right? Just to mention. But if you want to create a basic, let me just input, you want to use the functions, basic functions, just please input the following information. The next one will be just the address, which I'm just currently filling, okay? Nothing important here, just once again, is coming from your bank. And this is now the contact number that then will be then Hector, my boss. All right, just things like that, okay? So with this, we're gonna be able to work. And then, well, just in case you want to input your contact in your bank, okay? That will be the idea, nothing else. So we have, so to speak, almost finished. But remember, the most important thing, not only just the general information, but we need now to create one connection to our chart of accounts. So I'm going to create the Amex link, okay, same name as my bank, and I'm going to need to create a new GL account. So in order to do so, I'm going to Amex Bank, or I don't know, if you use this brand, well, there's one account. This is a type of GL account that I would use from my liquid assets. Okay, remember, check your numbers in order to create a new GL account, even though this is not specifically for that, this webinar, but it's super important that I show this part, because what I will be doing now is just use this for my banking processes. Okay, so Amex Platinum requires a GL account. We configured by adding the mandatory fields. We add that this GL account is part of the balance sheet. Good. We have categories and subcategories, these two fields. Well, we generate this for you. We have the asset, liabilities, well, all the accountant-wise categories, okay? The assets, and for my assets as well, I have some subcategories, okay? Current or yeah, and fixed assets, okay? These both are part of my category, subcategories for this. This subgroup is part of the asset category, okay? So that's it. Now, for me, it's important. Do you want or would you allow somebody to touch this GL account with a general journal? For me, the best practice is to avoid that, because I will control everything, as I'm going to show you in a moment. Not with a general journal that only actually credit debit GL accounts. Now I have a sub ledger that I'm currently creating that is my bank account. So with this, if I uncheck direct posting, I'm not going to allow anybody to manually touch that want to touch my GL account to post transactions into this GL account, only if he uses the bank entity that I'm creating, because I want to have a match between both the GL account and my sub ledger and my bank account card, basically. So this is it. This is how we create. Basically, we can just block it whenever we need it. Reconciliation account, remember, as well, would be good to mention it. Okay, and then to include it in your reconciliation process, an example. Okay, otherwise you can as well leave it blank. It's not actually important for us to start reconciling, but this direct posting is super important, so nobody input transaction with a GL account, with a general journal, so to speak. Okay, that's it. I haven't done anything complicated, just this is the simple creation of a bank account. Okay, by the way, if you have questions, please let me know. I can just give you the actual information, why am I doing specific steps and so forth, right? Because I will be now just actually doing some exercises. So now, in order to start working with my bank account for the first time, how do I do it? Then the first is that I would need to have, let's say, my first entry that could be a deposit, a transfer from another bank account, or coming from a customer, a payment. Let's do some of them. The idea of the bank is that from different areas, let me show you some examples. We are going to start receiving information for to start reconciling information that should be bought in the bank. Now, I'm going to open the first transaction. I'm going to do it through a cash receipt journal. I will be receiving money from a customer. You could do so and then input through a general journal the payment and using maybe the petty cash account or something. That's good. Or if you have the store, when you receive money from, or your cashier receives money, that will be going as well to the petty cash. But as well, we can interconnect it to a bank account immediately. And that's something that we're going to exactly do now. The cash receipt journal helps me receive money from my customer. I'm going to input any customer. One second, please. Sure. Once in a while, this happens, that it just frozen. Okay. And then in the cash receipt journal, I'm going to be able to select any of my customers, right? In order to then receive money from them. Here is important that we use, okay, this is how we use the bank entity. Instead of receiving money and using a GL account, that this could be the actual Amex Platinum account, okay? But now this is telling me, okay, you cannot use this account. Let's see. My Amex Platinum account 10,101 is I'm not going to be able to input this GL account directly. Okay, this is not done this way. Otherwise, I will be posting it, and my bank entity never knows that I'm using this GL account. Instead of doing this regular type of a setup for my transactions, I would now instead select a bank account directly. That's the idea, basically, or the only difference, right? To start learning how we work in Business Central. Instead of the GL account, now I'm going to select my bank account for American Express, which is my new bank. Okay, very good. Now you could, why not to then select, let me see, select if any of the invoices that this customer have open. I can see one that is even in red, meaning that is overdue already. Well, for a small amount. Okay, and what we do in the cash receipt journal, I'm just going to move fast. Remember, the idea is not for now only to just review the bank, but how do we receive the money? Process your cash, focus on that, okay? In the customer entries, I have all the transactions. In this instance, only one. I have an invoice, the document number that we created before, and you as a treasury responsible, you're going to see, well, all the detailed data, the currency code, the remaining amount that we haven't yet received from this customer. This is the amount. And in this case, I have a payment discount date. Sometimes this could be offered to your customers, remember that, and a due date for a payment, okay, that it's in April. That's good. That's good. Okay, so we see this information. We now speak with the customer. Do you want to pay me this invoice now? Through the cash receipt journal, this is the way we do it. We just select that, and immediately the amount is already here, okay? And as well, we have the amount in this currencies sign is because this is local currency and our system is multi-currency. Super important for cash management, okay? Now that we are speaking about money, I'm just going to show you these currencies because you should enable all your currencies, okay? I don't have time to show how to create a currency. I'm going to focus more on the cash processes, okay? But I have CAD, euros, and Mexican pesos. And something I just forgot to mention, your bank, every bank that we create from the very beginning before inputting any given transaction that you desire should have the correct currency. Here is the posting currency code. Sorry to forget it. Among all these fields, I forgot to mention that this is mandatory. Before starting any given operation, add in the currency code add the currency code in your bank account. Because similarly to what any bank does, when you open an account in any given bank, then they're going to ask you about the currency. For all of us that are in the Caribbean and Latin America, typically we would use our one bank account in local currency and another one bank account in US dollars, typically, right? But if you import from other countries, anyway, if your bank allows that, then you create your bank account in a specific currency, the real bank account, and then create it in Business Central with the same currency, because we need to actually operate. And when we do so, the bank account is going to hold all the transactions in their specific currency, even though you can pay with your bank that is in dollars, any transaction in local currency, right? That's not a problem in Business Central. That's why we have the currency codes in different journals as well. Then the idea is that you're going to be then working with one specific currency per bank, yes or yes, and let's just use then later the currency rate, because in the end, let me add the currency code. All right, for every transaction, remember, we need to work with the correct currency code as well. Okay, super important for cash processes, because we're going to use one exchange rate that is going to then be posted into chart of accounts with the actual in local currency, using the exchange rate for the specific currency code. Nothing else related to cash. Okay, then I'm going to post. I'm receiving now money. Okay, that would be the idea. You can even preview it now that you are checking for the first time. This could give us information. Maybe my bank is not correct. My bank has specifically needs a setup, needs a GL account. Something that was has an error with my bank account could be verified by preview depositing. For any given journal in Business Central, we have this function. Why do we have this? Because now, which accounts am I going to be using to post this information, this payment? Well, first of all, Amex Platinum GL account, but the accounts receivable account as well, in order to make my debit, my credit, basically. And this will be then posting transactions, because this previous operation that I'm just showing you here, if you have a doubt of what I'm doing, previously was not paid, okay, was not paid, was a part of my AR module or process, and then I'm now paying it using this bank account, mentioning or to Business Central that my customer paid in the bank, okay? Maybe you might require a description, okay? A datum corporation, pay this, and the payment reference might be PR as payment reference, right? And then 99999. Okay, similarly to that, you should do all your transactions, talk to your customer when they paid, change the date, because then later you're going to need to reconcile this. Okay, so regarding the best practices for your banking process, I always recommend to work with the correct date. That is going to help you to actually verify this information, right? Per transaction, name or description, posting date, and amount. Okay, these three are the most important for our reconciliation that we are about to do today. Okay, so hopefully this gives you an idea. And as well, we have the another way. Remember this. Sometimes I receive questions about how to process this faster. Actually, payment register. Let's see. Payment registration, and we have a second window to receive money, where I immediately see all the invoices that are currently open, the due date, and by just placing a check mark like this means that the customer is currently paying. So how then, with this is super fast to do. The only thing that I will be just do in advance, let me just set up this to my new Amex account. Okay, instead of using the checking account to receive these payments, I'm going to use the American Express instead. Okay, so very good. Well, let me see if I actually completed correctly the setup. Yes. Okay, very good. Let me just payment. I think that's okay. Okay, let me just come back to once again my register. How this works? Okay, it's similarly to what we did, but now this is already configured in advance to receive all the payments in this window to one specific bank account. Guess which one? Okay, and from here, we already pre-configured this journal. This is in the end as well a journal. But when I receive money, I'm going to see, okay, is this payment done? When? Okay, remember this, very good. And remember your description as well. This is for what different invoices. So I'm going to leave it just like that. Okay, because I need to know the invoice number, right? And then I'm going to select the payments that I receive. For Puerto Rican wholesaler, sales order 1006. I have received the payment, but they did not pay the entire amount, only 1,000. Okay. Similarly to this, you get the idea. It's not difficult. The only thing here is, remember, we are using the registered customer payments. This is another type of entry that we can do, and we just pre-configure this with a balancing bank account. Okay. Even though there are a lot of steps, I'm just showing you the capability. But basically, I have finished, okay, two types of entries. One with the cash receipt journal manually, And here still with the registered customer payments, I still have a remaining amount. Okay, one of my customer did not pay the full amount of the actual sales order in number that I see here. Now, what I want to do for today is go to the bank account to continue learning. Let's just go back to the American Express bank account. Now I see some balance, okay? This was not before, it was zero a few before posting these transactions. And let's see the balance. If I click immediately on this balance, I will see all the payments. Look at this payment done by the previous information. Here I have all the amounts should be positive. Remember that part, okay? Positive means account-wise, well, that I have received in this type of operation, okay, when I do the payment. Then some of them are related to what we call dimensions. All these transactions in my bank, and now they are in my bank, okay, are coming from the sales department, okay? Very good. Now, what I want important to show, this is what we call the bank account ledger entries. In every bank, we have the historical information of whatever, in every type of transaction that you do. In this case, I have inputted a payment, okay? And for me, it will be important to mention, okay? We can from here receive money and make payments as well, okay? This type of operation, yes, this is a payment, yes, but coming from a customer. That's why it has this sign, okay? When we do through a vendor, for those of you who are not accountants, why not to generate it immediately? When I'm going to pay a vendor, your vendor is related to purchases, right? Purchases. Then I will be paying expenses or purchasing items from my company. Payment journal. All right. How this works? Okay. From here, similarly to a cash receipt journal, but the payment journal works with vendors. Okay. And as well, the document type will be a payment. So I don't want to confuse you. I will show you, for those of you who are not accountants, basically to show what is a positive and a negative amount in my bank. Okay, so I wanted to generate as well this, not only for customers. Okay, now for managing AP, we have a function that helped me generate this part. Let me just work. The suggest vendor payment functions. This is not for customers. This is the payment journal. So we are going to give money. Let's say that we have customers that are approaching my facilities. They are in front of me, maybe not. And today I have 2,000 as an instance. This will be my budget for today to prepare payments as well. This function exists for all of you who work with cash, so you can see how a Business Central helps you with all this type of operation. You can find discounts. The important thing about preparing a payment journal is that we are going to require a date once again, very important for my cash management. We're going to use optionally if we have a specific budget to prepare payments for the week, let's say. It's not mandatory. Even I could just erase it. It's not a problem, okay? Now, but it's mandatory would be the dates, okay? And these are optionals. You could optionally find discounts, find vendor priority, and have a specific amount that you have as a liquid asset to immediately pay to the vendors, okay? Now, what I'm going to as well do is verify the bank account, okay? I'm going to pay, and I'm going to open my Amex website where I will be sending money to different vendors, okay? But before doing that, I need Business Central to tell me immediately which entries are currently open. That will be the idea of this function. And then I have the second option because as well, in another instance, what I'm not going to simulate today, I'm not going to pay through a website. I have the vendors in front of me and I need to deliver a check. Not only prepare the payment, but a check. So that's fine. You need to mark this with computer check, okay? If you leave it blank, then this would simulate that you will be going through a website, you manually input the information, and then in Business Central, you're going to actually just update it, okay? But this function helps me then to verify the depth by vendor and by transaction that I currently have. Let's just do it. Okay, and as well, I just want one single line per vendor. Don't show me all the invoices that I have currently open in my company that I need to pay, but input one single line, all the invoices per vendor. So this is the faster way to explain how this function works. Hopefully this is not too much information because cash management is quite detailed process, by the way. Let's see what I have here. Oh, I see some warnings. Okay, so I have Puerto Rican. This was suggested by the system. I need to pay 500. Let's just verify my applied entries as an example. Okay, this was suggested because, by the way, I inputted that I have only $2,000. And what the function does is that, oh no, I actually erased it, sorry. Let me see what happened. Actually, the system, even though I erase it, okay, sometimes this happened in Business Central. Let me tell you what happened, okay? Previously, I just told Business Central, use the last options and filters that I previously used in a previous exercise. And I had this 2,000 before, if you remember, telling that I would only have $2,000, okay? Sometimes I have seen that Business Central, actually my demo, okay, it actually uses the last filters, even though I erase it, which is the actually issue that happened in this exercise, okay? But in order to correct them, I will just once again rerun this function. But it's okay, it's okay. This is understood that I only have $2,000, okay? Only that. And then it provided me only one single invoice that I could fully pay, okay? That is the oldest one that is in red, actually. Well, oh, sorry, this is in the future. Sorry, because I'm currently working with my license of this date, okay? Now, this was suggested I need to pay $500. And guess what? As well, using the bank account, American Express. From here, we are going to print our first check that I'm going to deliver because this customer is in front of me. So once I just do that, then I can print from this journal my check. So let's just do it, print check. Okay, oh, sorry if I was quite fast. Here I have the menu to print checks and I have different options, preview, print, or void checks. When you commit any error, okay, let's say that this is not the actual amount, okay, you can immediately void it after printing. But for printing for the first time, I will use this function, print check. And here I have the last check. No, need to change the American Express. And this is telling me, hey man, let's take a look. You have an error. Even though you have created your bank account properly, I don't see the last check that you use with this specific bank. Not a problem. In order to correct then my error, I will access to the bank account and input, and I'm going to verify now my checkbook, the real checkbook. Let me open the bank account, American Express. Okay, and from here you can continue to edit your actual bank account card. And I have the last check used. So I will check now immediately the bank account, my checkbook, and let's say that I use my last check was 1010, okay? I have delivered all the previous checks already. So this is the last check number used. You need to give that to Business Central like I'm doing right now in order to now be able to print checks, okay? So coming back to my payment journal where I'm paying my vendor with this amount and by printing computer checks. So your bank can as well not only post information like I did before, so you can see historical transactions, but as well provide checks to the vendors. And in this case, what I will be doing is selecting the American Express account. Now it has the last check number used, and I'm just going to print it now. Very good. Okay. So we actually rearrange the format according how your bank in any given country actually works. Give us the layout of your bank, please. And we, for Puerto Rican importers, this is the check, okay, the invoice, the information, and here below the check, okay, even though this is not the pre-printed pro forma that your bank gives you, so take one check from your checkbook, put it in the printer, please, and then this information will be then given by Business Central, so you don't have to then write down any checks manually anymore. Even sometimes for our customers, we add a signature, okay, an electronic signature, maybe for the bank account responsible or the owner of the bank account, basically, because this will be then taken to the bank to then cash the money, okay, this amount. Okay, but the idea is that this is an actual check that we print from your Business Central, correct? So you don't have to do it manually anymore. Okay, very good. So you understand the idea. I'm going to come back to the cash management process because I need to check the reconciliation. But very important here, I see that my payment has already a computer check and the check was printed. This is a condition when I select to print checks. Because if I don't print it, I'm not going to be able to input this financial information. Want to clarify something. When I print a check, this doesn't mean that this traveled already to my GL account that I created for the American Express bank account. First, I need to print the check, okay? And then I can now post it. Okay, posting means that I'm going to register now this entry to my AP and to the vendor subledger and to the bank account subledger B010 and the GL related to that bank account. So I'm going to now record this transaction. Once you post your journal and you printed your check successfully, what I'm going to have, I'm going to go back to my bank account card. Okay, now the balance is different. You can once again, as I did before, click on the balance to see the information. I always do by checking that. And look at this, the Puerto Rican importers. This is coming from the GL accounts, okay? The GL account linked to my bank is showing all the historical information. Okay, here's my payment. And for those of you who are not accountants, I just wanted to prepare that because when I do a payment, okay, I see that the amount is negative. Okay, somehow that is somehow because this is an asset. Okay, this is the way we operate with the SANs when we work with our bank account. Now, nothing else, just wanted to do another type of transaction. Now, your bank, what your entity is going to help you with. Now, first of all, we can see the ledger entries that actually sum this specific 74,000 amount, but as well, I have the check ledger entries. Let me click on this because this is as well historical information. This is telling me that I have printed already a check. The check number 1011 should be exactly the same number as you have in your real checkbook. Puerto Rican importers, blah, 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 the amount, and this is posted. Now, if I committed an error, okay, and I want to void this check once again, you can do so, okay? You can do so, but this is what we would call the a financial, or we call it reversal, but in the end, this is a financial voiding. Why financial? Because this is not only taking information or giving you transactions that we have printed this check. So you can see in your bank this check, okay? But behind the scene, we have as well the transaction posted into your GL account. Let me just go back to show the chart of accounts. And here we have the Amex Platinum GL account card. That, guess what? It has the same exact balance in the end that I have in my bank account, okay? So if I want to reverse a check that was already posted, it means that I would as well need to reverse the transaction that was posted in the GL account 10101, okay? That's why we call it reversal or financial voiding, because we are not going to only be deleting a check, but as well we are reversing this simple transaction that I have in this GL account for 500. So whenever you want to, from your bank account, reverse a check that you incorrectly did, it means that you as well are going to reverse the actual GL entry. Simple as. That's why we call it the financial reversal, okay? So the same happens with all the other entries, okay? But just wanted to show you what we have here, the check ledger entries to see how many checks you have printed, and the ledger entries because this has connection with your GL transactions, compiling or referring to this balance, okay? So your GL account has the same relation, since we have a one-to-one relationship, should have the same balance, okay? And we protect this. So anybody post any information using a general journal, because this will be causing me a lot of issues, then by protecting, then by not allowing the direct posting. So if I just check this, then nobody can use, similarly to what I did before, this GL account. Okay, that's an error that I had before. Okay, nothing else. I'm just explaining a lot of things because, well, I have to go to what is a bank account, how do we post transactions, and so forth. But really for this exercise, for this webinar today, or most important for you as the cash or the treasury responsibles, you need to perform your bank account reconciliation. And this is the exercise that I wanted to now provide today, okay? In order to create my first bank reconciliation, I'm going to click on New, coming to the bank account reconciliations window. This is an important topic for today, remember. Now I have the selection of all the bank accounts that I have created, okay? The American Express, I need to reconcile after 1 month of operations, I will be receiving my first statement, okay? So this is what happens now. After I receive or the bank sends me that, or I check or download it from my website, okay? Immediately, a bank reconciliation is created in Business Central. Okay, this is telling me that currently no bank statement line exists. Do you want to import it? We can do so, okay? I'm going to show you that in the end. But important, now that I'm in the bank reconciliation, okay, I have two windows. The one currently has, do you remember what are the bank account ledger entries? Okay, guess what? They are all of them. They are here, okay, including your check, okay? Remember that we printed a check that was 10/11. Here is the check and all the other payment transactions. Either if they were just payments or as well payments, but that we just received for any given customer. Okay, so this is the first. This is the first a window that is taking the information that we should have currently in Business Central. Now, what happened here? We have a second window, and from where we are going to be, or we should be inputting manual transactions, inputting transactions manually, okay? So for the 11, according to my demo only, remember we are in the future because of my license, I have a transaction that was description, research, okay? So you need to, in order to begin input, review your statement and input your lines. That's the idea. Before, of course, you might be thinking, how do I import it? I don't want to input everything manually, okay? But that will be the idea, just to learn the mandatory fields, the date, the type, which is a bank account ledger entry or a check ledger entry when you are putting actually your statement tells you when we have a transaction that is a check. This is informational for us to know where I should input this information in your check ledger entry or coming in from your bank account ledger entry. So you already know what is each one. And the differences let me put another difference account, is when I actually want to calculate, well, my bank calculated a fee for the, I don't know, for March, for account operation, okay, something like that. And your bank, well, they have your fees, we don't calculate them in Business Central. And these bank accounts or interests that are only calculated by your bank, for us are differences, okay? Very important to understand the concepts of what we see in this window. But this is what we see in our statement, information coming from your real bank or actual bank, and in the left window, information coming from what we have posted in Business Central, okay? Very good. Now, I don't want to input everything manually as well, so to speak. Let me show you, we could use Excel. I always recommend this to my customers when we implement. How do we do it? Because maybe you can download information in Excel from your website. I'm going to here now simulate that, copy paste information from Excel, because I never like to input information manually. So, but it's important to mention, we have mandatory fields that we need to reconcile. So what I will suggest is that verify what information you can get from your bank. At least you can do the following, okay? I'm going to use Excel and I'm going to copy paste. When I was here, I'm going to Control C this line and look how I see one row copied. I'm using the Excel functions, Control C, and then I'm just going to paste it into one Excel, okay? So from here, I'm going to be able to use my drag and drop tools, which I love in Excel, you know, things like this, okay? So you can now input information like this, like I'm doing right now. Okay, but just provide the mandatory fields, okay, please, for us, okay, which is once again the date, the statement amount, and the description. The difference actually is not a field that we're gonna need. Okay, at least these three, you get the idea. Okay, so this way is faster. Control C, not only inputting information manually. What other tool we have? Okay, we have one function that helps us to suggest lines, okay? Just for this first exercise, I have, okay, this is the information I get from Business Central, and you have the information coming in your bank statement, right? Most of the transactions will be quite similar date, similar description, and similar amount. So what I'm going to do is use the suggest line functions, is going to help me to give me all the information that let me see, all the information that is actually in this window already in the right side, because most of the transactions are okay. Maybe some transactions are different, the date might not be exactly the same. So let's just suggest some banks, some bank entries. So that's fine. I can just work with this foundation or with this basis. Okay, very good. So this is what happened. I copy pasted, well, this all the information that was posted in my GL account was as well posted here. And from here, I could start just my actual edition. Really cloud payment reference 001. This account is fine. This, okay, trade research for this date might not be specifically 10, 11, but will be another date. So use the same entries that you have in Business Central and start editing, okay? That would be the idea. But if you can see, they are green, by the way. Business Central review the dates for us, of course. And as well, you can then verify that all the transactions that are already matched, that's fine, because I don't want to then, I want to use an assistant that helps me check the date, the description, and the amount. So even though if I inputted this manually, okay, line by line, when I use the match automatically function, the match automatically function, what it does is verify the date, the description, and the amount, then to reconcile until all of the transactions are green. But as well, we need to tell Business Central, okay, I know that when I operate, maybe I do the real deposits in the bank well, with all the customer money that I received, so to speak, in my warehouse, in my store, well, I was making all the notes, what the amount that every customer gives me and which sales order or invoice they pay. But maybe I posted how many days did you actually input the money or take the money to the bank? How many days later? Maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe even 1 week. Why not sometimes? Okay. When something gets lower, okay, we maybe had the chance to go to the bank maybe 1 week later. And with this, we are given transaction date tolerance. Get the idea? So even though the date is not the same, look for the same description, look for the same amount. And even though I'm going to give you 7 days of tolerance because I took the money then 1 week later to the bank. So this is what this is currently doing. And this is telling me all the statement matches, all the statement lines are matched. Very good. Okay. This is how we actually match the lines. And we have other tools. Let me just show you. Yeah, I know that you reconcile all these lines. Now, as well, you could remove the lines if you don't like them. Let me just actually do so with my smaller amounts. Okay, this one, just as an example, okay? From here, select the entry in the 2 windows, here and here, 1229, 1229, and remove the match, okay? I'm not going to reconcile this one. I'm not going to reconcile for any given reason, okay? Maybe I need to still verify if this was okay. Maybe the customer told me, okay, I committed a mistake because it was the payment references. I don't find these payment references. Typically, you are not going to find all transactions. That's going to happen all the time. Business Central allows you to do so, okay? But first comes first. What we are doing is just inputting and matching. Now, I'm going to now simulate that I have another entry. The bank calculated for me one interest or one fee, a year fee, simple as 2021. Somehow it just came up until March for any given reason. All right, $100,000. Okay, we have these differences. Can you see them? So that will be important to mention. Okay, so first of all, we can just match these lines as well manually. Okay, and as well, we have differences. Okay, they are not exactly the same. Okay, Puerto Rican importers currently already has an entry here. You can see, even though they are not matched, I can do that manually with my match manually function. Okay, that will be it. That will be basically the idea. But I have one line, the difference line, GRF 2021, is not here calculated by Business Central, and it will never be. It only comes when you receive your statement. So that's why for us it's a difference from default or a defaulted differences. Okay, so what I will do now is anyway, since this was just coming in a statement, I can anyway click the function transfer to general journal. So I don't have to go and tell to the accountant, please do it, help me with one transaction that is not currently in Business Central. So this is exactly what this function does. While it generates it, I feel it's slow. Because this is a new GL account, it doesn't have the actual information from scratch. But what I want to do now is just use a GL account. Please create one GL account for fees, or I have one for bank charges, okay? Account for expenses 60400. Okay, that's good. The amount, what was the amount? And the checking account, I don't want it. This will be the American Express. Remember, we are going to need one GL account for expenses, and the offsetting account will be the American Express account for 100. Very good. Okay, so you get the idea now. Oh, sorry, this is, remember, a design. Remember design. Change the language of my keyboard. Oh, yeah. There you go. Oh, no, so this is a payment design, is correct. Okay, So I'm just generating a payment for the fees, everything done. But next time I run this function, everything will be populated automatically. So that's how that function works. Transfer that fee into the general payment journal because I want to just complete that automatically, and we just post it. Oh, and by the way, we as well use a general journal if you need it, not only a payment journal. Very good. Because the payment journal gives you the actual amount, right? And the correct sign immediately, but as well, you might use the credit debit functions if necessary. Okay, so here is what I will be doing now. You can see here that I have now the entry, correct? The payment is already here when I transfer from this window to this window by posting a general journal. Simple as. Now I can continue reconciling these two last lines. Okay, that's good. Okay, now what happened here is that I have one balance that is 74,000. Okay, let's review now the figures. After I reconcile all the lines that I wanted to reconcile, what I would do now immediately is just go and test my report for the first time so you can see. So you better, what we do first is input all the lines so by using the suggestion function. And in the end, before finishing this webinar, I'm going to show you because some of you might want to import, not input manually, or even with copy paste using Excel. Maybe you want to automate it a little bit. All right, let me just now go to the bank account statement report. The last statement was 0 because the amount, well, this is my first statement, okay? But if I reconcile these amounts, the next statement amount that I do will be my final statement that I currently have here, okay? For now, it's just 0. The GL balance is 73,000, okay? 73,000, excuse me, plus the adjustments is going to give me now the actual 74 that I currently have here. And I can see some differences, okay? Minus 387, because currently I'm not reconciling, I have not reconciled all the lines. This 500 is a check. This 100, it was the GR fee 2021. And here by an error that to the payment reference that I have with Adatum Corporation, I was not able to find this transaction, even though the amount is more or less the same, 1229, but the payment reference was wrong. So I'm not going to reconcile that part. So then here I have an application that is wrong. So minus 307, right? Here I have then to review these final figures. But first come first, I have as well some outstanding transactions. The total of the outstanding transactions are actually as well the transactions coming from the checks that I haven't actually completed. Let's just go back. So you can see now here, my bank account ledger entries. Calculated, my GL account has 73,000 and total outstanding, my checks are 500, okay? Basically, those are these two figures. This tells you out of this total balance that I'm going to be reconciling, what will be the amount 500 for checks. Now, I have these differences, this difference column, okay? Two entries plus the entry of 1229 that I don't want to reconcile. I don't want to reconcile. So this is the total amount, the total difference. And what happens if when I have differences like this that I'm doing on purpose to show you, when I try to post it means that I have finalized my reconciliation. I'm going to click on yes, okay? I forgot my statement date. Sorry, very, very important. The statement date is because we are going to mark the transactions that we have already reconciled so they do not come in the next reconciliation. Okay, very important. Now, the post, once again, is when I have finalized my reconciliation with this type of entries. I'm going to click on yes. But this is telling me the statement ending balance is not equal to your total balance. Okay, when I opened my bank account, I started with 0, of course, but then later I did some specific transactions, okay, that in this very moment are in my statement. So I should have the actual total amount. Okay, that will be 73,000, exactly the same as your GL account, preferably. Okay, so we need to reconcile this difference, which will be this one. Okay, so if you find the entries, if you find it, and if you immediately ask the customer what happened, do the payment reference, what happened with this, okay, and if you clarify that immediately, okay, let's just then change it and use the matching functions, match manually, to reconcile them. If not, if you cannot reconcile, well, those of you who are in the USA needs to reconcile the GL, what you have posted in the GL entries according to the balance that we see here is the actual GL balance. Let me show you this again. I have my chart of accounts. We are almost finishing. Okay. 73,000 is the balance that I see in my chart of accounts, 73,000. If you are in the USA, you need to reconcile all the transactions until you have 0 differences. Yes or yes. Okay, that's currently the process that how we implemented in the USA. For all of us that we are in South America, Mexico, Caribbean, and so forth, I'm going to be allowed to work with these differences. So maybe I'm not going to finish the reconciliation, but I can do a second exercise later just to reconcile the entry for 12, the entry for 500, and the entry for 1,100. It's not a problem, but the total balance should be then here the same. Okay, I'm going to use now the total balance that I inputted here. Okay, remember 74,002.05. This is telling Business Central, okay, even though I'm not reconciling all my entries, I know that my balances are real, right? Even though I'm going to leave some transactions for later. Okay, for all of us who are not working in the USA, I'm going to be able to work with differences as long as I know my actual balance in the real bank. Okay, with this, you're going to be able to post. Very good. 74. Let me see, 74, the application. Okay. These are my differences. Then I'm gonna need to delete some of these transactions that I don't want. I'm gonna leave it for later. So for now, I'm gonna delete it. So you get the idea. This is the European type of reconciliation where you can actually just leave transactions for another, giving you the idea of you can reconcile many times through the same period. That would be mainly the actual idea of or the functionality that is enabled here for this European type of reconciliation. Okay. So just delete the transactions that you are not going to reconcile in this exercise. Maybe tomorrow, when I get the actual verification of the transactions, I'm going to be able to run a second reconciliation. Let me show you. Tomorrow, my actual bank and my customer clarify where is this payment references 9999. Okay, he clarifies, he check, then this was a check that was not yet cashed by the vendor, but tomorrow he does it, and so forth. And the bank charges and fees, maybe I don't even know what they are. I need to reconcile, I need to have negotiation with my bank. Why are they charging this, and so forth. And when I clear with that, then I can continue to reconcile once again in the same period. And then I can reconcile later these entries. This can then, and look at how my balance, initial balance was the last or the final balance from the last reconciliation. Okay, this is the last amount we reconcile. We have these 3 lines that were left, and we can just reconcile them just now. Okay, that will be the idea. So you can reconcile many times in the European version. All right. In the American version, you need to reconcile everything in one single exercise, or otherwise you're not going to be allowed to post it. Okay. Hopefully this is clarifying the actual two type of reconciliation processes. That's fine. I'm going to leave it then for now. And this is how then we do a bank reconciliation, how then we post it. And just to mention it, if you want to review it later, posted bank, post statements, bank, what is the name of it? I need to access to the bank account. Okay, you can check at any given moment all the historical information coming back to the bank, coming back to American Express, and then I can see the checks that I have printed, the ledgers, what I have posted in my GL account, and my statements, the reports that I have already generated per each reconciliation. So you in the future can check which transactions you have already reconciled by bank account statement number. This is the number one in my demo, the amount that you reconcile. All right. And anyway, Business Central is going to give you all these reports so you can then undo it. Okay. Meaning that maybe you want to reconcile again later when you actually verify all your transactions later. For us, it's not a problem. You can still undo your bank account statement if you are not the type of treasury manager that loves to have plenty of different reconciliations. Some of you might be quite organized, only one per week as an example. So it's up to you how you want to manage it. Nothing else. Now, what I'm going to do is open another bank reconciliation that I already have in advance, where I have prepared a file that you could use to import your to your banks, okay, to your bank reconciliation. In order to do so, I'm going to open the worldwide bank account. I have configured one bank statement import format. Let me show you this. You can do exactly the same. You can ask us, please, to do so. It's not a problem. But the idea is that from your bank, you should be able to download sometimes the statement, actually, the one that we have done in our reconciliation. In some cases, well, I have different type of formats, SEPA in the USA, basically, well, most of all work with SEPA. But if you can download it or ask, just verify all the fields that they give you and put it into an Excel. Simple as. But you know the mandatory fields. We need the date. We're gonna need the description, the actual amount, and of course, the currency for the bank that we are using. Nothing else. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a lot of different type of fields that your bank is going to provide, and those are fine. Just take and copy paste that into an Excel. Is not a problem. And these mandatory fields that I will be having in white, the yellows are not mandatory for me in this very moment. Not yet. The transaction date is mandatory, description is mandatory, amount and currency is mandatory, okay? And no matter how the arrangement of your bank is, for us, it's not a problem. Just save into a CSV file, comma, delimited, this Excel that you received from your bank, if they provide it to you, we just need the CSV, comma, delimited file, okay? That's it. So just save it. I currently have it already here. I'm not gonna save it twice, don't save it. But here I have one, the same file, but CSV file, okay? The same file is, but the extension CSV. This is important for us, okay? Very good. So if you have it or you can request it, what we can do in Business Central for you, if you ask us, this is normally done by consultants, okay? The actual integration with the formats, just to mention. For this bank, I have no overwhelmment. This is the exact file that I showed you before. And here we have different type of importing processes for SEPA, InvestNet Journal, which is as well a service that helps us to actually integrate all this information in one specific format, Journal, SEPA, and the one that I created for us so we can learn from scratch, where, okay, what we create for you is just one importing importing a layout, okay? This is called data exchange references, okay? data exchange. For those of you who are accountants, or well, technicals as well, data exchange. Definition, okay. What do we do here in the bank exchange? I created multiple for the different demos and regions because we have, for instance, in the USA, Bank of America, but in other countries, we have Citibank, Scotiabank in, and so forth, in Europe, etc. Okay, and even OCR, because I normally use it when I import OCR with the scanners. Okay, let's go to the topic. Mr. Noé has a customer, right? Mr. Noé has a customer that we are going to help to, instead of doing this like we did on this webinar, the reconciliations manually or with Excel or blah, blah, blah. What I want to do for now is just create for my customer the actual definition of your own file that you currently have. Remember that we don't care about how your bank actually gives you your statement. Okay, we just need the electronic version and the Excel comma delimited file that you receive. And what we create for you is a file that actually emulates that in Business Central. Look at this, transaction date is here, the transaction date, description, type. I downloaded this file from internet. I cannot tell you the bank, but any given bank, all the banks have different formats. We do that format for you, okay? And we tell to Business Central which fields will be used, which fields won't be used at all, and things like that. When we do the your file here, we do the date that you use because every bank has different date formats in different countries. Since I'm working currently in a US database, I'm inputting this type of what we call it culture, okay? The formats for any given country to actually work with amounts, commas, dates, and so forth. The description type won't be nothing, absolutely nothing. It's only for my bank. It's not even important for Business Central. The amount as well is decimals according to how we use it in the USA and so forth. Just giving you the idea. We help you with this because in the end, what we do is just we map your file. Here we have the three mandatory fields: transaction date, description, and amount. And from here, I'm going to map from this definition that you provide with your Excel. We have all the fields, how we call them in Business Central and by number. These are my Business Central fields. And we map your file 1, 2, and 4, which is the transaction date, description, and amount, according to the number of the columns on your file. We map them to a field according to the name in Business Central, okay? And then later we have plenty of different setups that we do that are not important for this webinar, but with that, what we can do once we map your file, remember, is not a problem how then your bank delivers that. We can anyway map it for you and leave it automated. When we then do a bank reconciliation, just to finish this webinar, one reconciliation. Oh, no. This is the last, the bank is checking now, sorry. Okay, let me just select more and delete the lines. Okay, the idea of how we normally implement Business Central, we do a bank reconciliation. We for the first time for another bank for another period, and here you see the transactions. Okay, once again. But Business Central has a function to import your bank statement when you are reconciling. So you don't have to input the information manually. So ask your banks about this specific, if they can provide, if they have the service of giving you the information in any type of electronic document. So we can rearrange that for you. And then the only idea is that I have my CSV checking statement demo that I showed you before. And in order then to operate, we just select the file and immediately the information is just imported, okay? Once it is imported, the actual process is that we match automatically all the transactions that Business Central is going to help me to actually do so. Remember the number of days because normally I deposit the money 2 or 3 days later or 1 week later, and this is it. Then with only two single steps. Okay, I imported. Oh, I see an error here. Maybe this is because of the what happened here. My data is not correct. I see here that. Sorry. I committed a mistake with my time zone. With my time zone is not correct. So the dates that I see here actually should be August, 31st of August, and Business Central took it as 31st of January. Okay, this is my mistake because we have, so to speak, in my servers. Okay, we need to actually be compliant with the actual region and time because it's my software. Actually, this is what happened here, but it's not a problem. I'm just going to change now only the dates for this. This will be what as well. Okay, August 31st. Okay, if when we configure this, we do it properly. Because I just made it very fast for the demo. But this will be just rearranged for you when we do the real implementation. What the function does is just actually give you all the information that you have in your file with the correct dates. Okay, and then later we just batch automatically, and this is it. Okay, this is it. Okay, and now match automatically. What happened? 831. Okay. I even committed a mistake because it's not even a. The transactions were posted in Business Central in August the 1st, and from my statement, they are coming in August 31st. Okay, verify that. I'm giving you a very large range of dates, 31 dates of tolerance. Okay, and then the transactions are just reconciled. Remember why? Because the date in Business Central were posted here on August the 1st, and in my bank, they came in August the 31st. Okay, this scenario will be happening. We just get all the information then from the file, but normally when we match, we at most give 2, 3, 1 week or 7 days at most of tolerance, never 31st. Okay, this is just for the demo to see how the matching function does everything. So we import it and then we match automatically. If you have any further questions, we are just finishing today's webinar, guys. If you have questions or if you want this webinar, or if you have, I don't know, if you call to your bank and then want to automate this process, please call us or give us then, here is my email if you want to contact me. I do these webinars based on what you want, which topics you want to see and all of that. And I receive those requests to prepare my next webinars. So that would be it. I don't see questions for today. Thank you very much for your time and see you next week.